Any interest there, I can help out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sherry. I know that I think Andy, are you doing livestock judging or just forestry?
No, just forestry and wildlife. No
Okay.
livestock.
We can get some.
Elizabeth, when the next year starts up, I've done the horse club, so we've mainly just done like hippology and horse bowl. We've had some interest in horse judging, so I may take you guys up on that offer to come let us see your farm.
You can do it.
All right. Well, I'd hate to move on without Sylvia. I know that she said that
Here.
she was. Oh, yay!
Yay!
Perfect
Sorry.
timing.
So it's nice to officially be here without River Road mechanics not letting me through on the phone. So
Awesome. Well, Sylvia, we're just right. We were just at the officer report. We heard part of what you were trying to convey about the momentum that Ms. Selma had alluded to in our last meeting. But if you'd like to pick up there, that'd be perfect.
so I was just saying that Thelma had pointed out such a valid um, moment in time that we have lived through, that if we do not seize that momentum, then we will be very remiss in fulfilling some of our duties and obligations that we said that we would help convey during this time. So again, thank you, Thelma, for bringing that to our attention, that through the mechanics of being able to cook and have access to things, now we can link it back to the agricultural component of what we do. So I just would like to make sure that as we move on to new business and continue on with some of the missions of our board and our responsibilities, that we always are mindful of that. So thank you.
So,
All right. The next thing on our agenda is program updates. Sylvia, is it okay if I go ahead and kick us off with that part?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. So I'll start us off, but for the rest of our staff, I do encourage you to share about what you have been working on the last 3 months, and then there is a portion for new business if you would like to hop on and share anything that is coming up in the future. So just being mindful about that when you're sharing your update. Also, everyone, we will be sending out their quarterly report that details all the things that I'm sure they're going to be sharing with you as well. So just to start us off, some of the things that I've been working on from the program side of things is I've been doing a lot of work with THDA, doing first time home buyers classes. We've helped, I believe, 14 different families get into their homes through the months of January and February, which totaled more than $2 million in property, which has been in people getting into their homes, which has been wonderful. I know I had a lot of clients this past month, and especially with the interest rates having been so low over the course of this last 6 months, it has been incredible. I believe last year's total was $17 million in property worth of property. So that's been really great, especially here in Davidson County. I would love to share one of the really unique stories that I had an opportunity to learn last week. I had a couple that was not originally from the Nashville area. Then they both had battled with a drug addiction and overcame that. Both started careers, started a family. One of the women became a manager at Thistle Farms, which I know has been a partner of ours. And they were getting into their first home, and they were so just appreciative of the programs that they were learning about. And since then, they have even called me back just to ask for some additional advice so that they can encourage someone else, a friend of theirs, get into their first home. And so if that's not an example of the power of extension, I don't know what is. So that's one of the things that, in addition to my county director duties, doing with the budget and helping with Metro and helping oversee our staff, that's one of the things that has been really encouraging for me, is just helping these individual families and being able to see the real impact that we're able to have. So I'm happy to share about that part. Let's see, I'll just call on you all as I see you on my screen. Miss Mary, would you like to go first?
Elizabeth, I'll be glad to. In my area of work in family and consumer sciences, I have provided educational information through means of working effectively with program partners. I have effectively distributed nutrition education and public community health information through organizational newsletters, handouts, monthly calls, a conference call, and a community resource event. The information distributed is relevant, reliable, and based on the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Coronavirus Disease and the USDA Dietary Guidelines for Americans. In FCS, I provided my program partner information on COVID-19 with reference to the CDC recommendations on COVID-19. This information was distributed through the Senior Renaissance Center monthly newsletter to 200 adults in Metro Nashville, Davidson County. In my FCS Wellbeing Nutrition Education program, I provided a handout I developed compiled on red color fruits and vegetables relative to heart health. This information was developed to coincide with Valentine's Day in February and to call attention to February is American Heart Month. The handout was distributed to 420 low-income and limited resource adults through my partnership with Village on the Green Shared Living Facilities for Disabled Individuals, providing services at 24 different shared living home sites, including East Park Community Center, Chipperton Towers 2, and Senior Renaissance Center. I also made a presentation on red fruits and vegetables relative to heart health through a telephone conference call with 10 Metropolitan Development Housing Agency residents at the request of the MDHA program coordinator. This includes MDHA intern and resident association presidents at Edge Hill, Garnet Studio Apartments, Neighborhood Housing, Sam Levy Place, Parthenon Towers, Cheatham Place, Madison Towers, James Casey Homes, and Andrew Jackson Courts. In my FCS Wellbeing Nutrition Education program, I provide a handout I developed compiled on whole grains and whole grains foods and their health benefits. This handout was also used to call attention to March is National Nutrition Month. The handout was distributed to 510 low-income and limited resource adults through Village on the Green shared living facilities for disabled individuals, providing service at 24 different shared living home sites, including East Park Community Center, Chipperton Towers 2, Senior Renaissance Center, and the Edge Hill community. I have been requested and I have agreed to continue to serve on the MDHA Social Workers Health Fair and Service Planning Committee for 2021, as well as I have agreed to provide a display of current and relevant nutrition education information for the health fair at 7 different sites twice this year. In my community resource economic program, I am working on my community garden training program for warm season vegetables. In March, I was requested by my 54 program partner to serve as a guest speaker on the topic of trees. Since this subject, trees, it is not in my area of work, I effectively secured David Cook, the horticulture extension agent in our office, to speak on trees for this Earth Day event in April of 2021. I participated in the March 2021 Nashville Area Association of Family and Consumer Sciences Professional Association meeting. I proudly serve as the NAAFCS 4-H Endowment Liaison person for the years 2021 and 2020. As liaison, I work with the Tennessee 4-H Foundation and Corporation Executive Director, and I prepare and submit a quarterly report on the 4-H endowment to the NAAFCS Association. Through professional development activities, I have increased and enhanced my knowledge and ability in nutrition education through participation in FCS and service trainings. These are my highlights for this year from January to March.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Miss Mary. I know that you've been quite busy. I know clearly COVID hasn't slowed you down one bit, and not from you getting to the community. Thank you so much for your hard work. Ebony, would you like to go next?
Sure. I've been facilitating Eat Well, Feel Well, which is a 6-session program for senior adults at First Response Center. I've also been doing a social marketing campaign with Trevecca Towers 1 and 2 called Quick Wins. I've been working with a great partner called The Store. We're currently working to provide a container gardening program for their participants, as well as we had a couple of weeks ago Walk Across Tennessee kickoff, which is a 6-week walking session where they get together as a community and walk for 30 to 60 minutes together. And then I come in and provide what we call health nutrition breaks, just basically nutrition information sessions for them. I helped facilitate a program assistant training on March the 12th. I also presented regarding our Shop Smart Tennessee program. I was involved in the pilot last year with that program, and that program is a partnership between a retailer, a small retailer, convenience store, gas station, or a small grocery store to encourage those businesses to stock healthier items for participants in low income areas. I also hosted a dietetic intern from UT Martin last week. I've been collaborating with Shelby County agent Olivia Cantrell to create some international food demonstration videos, as well as my own My Plate videos. And Sylvia, I would love to come to your farm and do some of those videos. We'll have to collaborate later. I've also been marketing 10-step programs, trying to encourage more participants for my online programming. I did that with the Farmers Market as well as the Tennessee Justice Center. And then some of my programs, I'm currently looking for a worksite wellness program, as well as been doing some collaborations with other agents in the office as far as creating our story walk and our nutrition podcast with Bianca.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ebony. That sounds great. Let's see, Bianca, I'll skip around. That way we keep our program areas together. Would you like to bounce off of anything Ebony said?
Sure. Along with what Ebony said, Ebony and I actually participated in a video shoot in Blount County this past March. And these videos are going to be used for program assistant training purposes throughout the state. So when those come out, we would love to share those with you guys. I've also partnered with Cole Elementary with their fridge food project, where they have an actual fridge out outside of their resource portable that they stock, and partners come and stock the fridge, and it's for those parents who, you know, need milk or need some extra eggs where they can come and pick up those grocery items. I've also was a part of the Central Region FNEP and TNCEP regional training that was held virtually in March, along with some specialist meetings that I attended. Also, Ebony and I have also been working on our podcast that we're very proud of. So watch out for those episodes that will be coming out this month. And we are also working on a story walk with Elizabeth and David Cook that we cannot wait to share with you guys. We're working with an illustrator because Elizabeth has written a children's book where we're going to use this for our story walk. So we're very proud of this project and we're excited to share it with everyone.
I had I just had a quick question for Ebony. Ebony, you mentioned that you're meeting with some local markets to carry more vegetables. How's that been going? Has that been going over real well for the people that own the market? Have they seen an increase in vegetable sales?
So I partnered with Bordeaux last year, and it was kind of before, this was during our pilot program. It was before COVID happened. I was able to do 2 in-person sessions. So a session would be you would go in there for 3 to 4 hours. Usually by the registers, you do a type of food demonstration, interact with customers, pass out nutrition information regarding that food demonstration, and then behind the scenes you kind of work with the food retailer to get some of those items that was demonstrated. When COVID happened, it all shut down and we moved the program 100% on Facebook. And so I just shared those food demonstration videos on Facebook, and we really didn't have that interaction with the retailer as I thought I would. But this year, what I'm trying to do is not partner with an actual retailer. I wanted to partner with a food pantry and go that route. And so I'm a partner with the store, which is a food pantry, and we're kind of gonna look at all the things that they're being, I mean, they get food donated, so they don't necessarily, you know, have that great of access to what is being brought in, but to see if we can increase some more healthier options.
Good. Sounds good.
I have 2 interjections very quickly here. One, Ebony, there is a resource. There was a woman who has written a book called Good and Cheap, and they provide copies of cookbooks free to people who are interested in them. And it is primarily food that you would keep or be given out of a food pantry. So it's a wonderful resource to be able to use, whether it's the recipes and or just list of items that people might have access to through a food pantry. So I suggest finding that one. If you want more information, give me a call. And then secondly, Bianca, if you could, when you do those amazing programs, if you could send out an e-blast to those of us on the board, I know I would love to share it with my list so that people can tune in and we can help promote it either through our social media or just some of the outlets, our own personal pages, whatever's available for us to do. I'm sure we would love to be supportive of all that hard work you're putting in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ebony and Bianca, for your hard work, and that's great. And I know Sylvia and I, we had a conversation, and I believe Bianca had mentioned this to you about having some of the recipe cards available at farmers markets and for producers in the area that just share some additional resources about the importance of certain fruits and vegetables, and maybe even a recipe on how to use that. So I think there's a lot of really great opportunities. Thank you, Mark and Sylvia, for your comments. Next, Andy, would you mind sharing? And then I'll let Lindsay go as well.
Sure. Yes, so this is a pretty busy time for 4-H. This time of year, we're finishing up our school-based clubs in the month of April. So over the last couple months, we've had our poster art contest in January. We had about 140 kids create posters. 35 of them made it to the county level. And then we sent our 3 winners on to participate in the regional contest And then we just had our demonstration and interactive exhibit contest where the kids teach their club mates something that they know how to do. So that's a really fun one to watch. We've just gotten all the winners from the clubs in that to submit to a virtual contest. So Lindsay and I are going over those demonstrations and interactive exhibits so we can have a YouTube award ceremony for them next week. So let's see what else is going on. We've got some shooting sports things going on. There's potentially a shotgun team that wants to partner with us in the future. So that may end up being something that we have within 4-H here. I just worked with a school this past month in their archery team, and they competed in the Central Region Postal Archery Contest. So that was kind of virtual this year. They had to mail them in. So we're awaiting those results, and I think those kids were really excited to have something to participate in outside of their school. So some new 4-Hers. Lindsay and I are hosting the Project Achievement Day for the region. So we've got 10 counties that are all coming together to have their winners from the demonstration and interactive exhibit contests for May 10th. So I've just applied and got that accepted for having over 50 people at an event. So we have to be really careful with that, but we're giving people the virtual option of doing it live over Zoom if they prefer. But I think we've got some good strategies for COVID in place to make that a successful event. We're planning our 4-H summer camp modified plans, which is that the 4-H centers are coming to each county for a one-day event. So we're trying to get down all the details of that to provide a good experience for 4-Hers. Hopefully it's something affordable to them, accessible to them geographically, and Ridley, the 4-H center, is going to be bringing some of their greatest hits, I guess, from camp to provide that from them. So we're just getting kind of new details about it every day. So we're just trying to figure it out as we go. And I think those are the big things from this end. Maybe Lindsay can take over and talk about some of the honor club things and other things going on.
Well, this is my second day back from maternity leave. So my quarterly report is that I've been keeping a small human alive. So I'm not even gonna act like I've done all the things. Andy has carried all the weight of his load and my load on his shoulders. So shout out to Andy for doing a great job with all of that. And so Andy's report is my report. He's been handling the honor club with all of our high school members. I know they've had a great time with him, and they've been doing some really cool stuff. But I'm excited to be back, and excited for what the summer is going to look like and the new things to come in the next school year.
Hey, congratulations, Lindsay.
Thank you so much. This is
boy or girl? Boy or girl?
Baby boy number 2.
All right.
You have your hands full.
I do. So I have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old. So it's a wild ride at our house at all times.
Well, we're so glad to have you back, Lindsay. I know that they miss you. Thank you so much for sharing, Andy and Lindsay. Michael, would you like to go next?
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. So to update you on what I've done the last few months, even though I don't have 4-H responsibilities in my job title, I was a 4-H agent for over 20 years, and I'm still very much passionate about that organization. And we have a professional organization of 4-H agents in Tennessee, and I serve as the president-elect of that association. So I'll be taking over as president in a few months. And we have been doing a lot of planning because we are hosting our national association meeting in Memphis in November. So Tennessee, for the first time, will host that association meeting. So I've been helping prepare the group for that, as well as our state meeting, which will happen in May. So I've been very active with the 4-H Agents Association. Also, as a result of that, I serve on some national leadership councils. I participated in the National Extension Leaders Conference with the Joint Council of Extension Professionals. That was a 3-day virtual conference. In the past, it's usually in person, and it rotates from state to state. But this year, we did a virtual conference, and then next week I have our public issue leadership forum, which typically is held in Washington, D.C., but we will be doing that one over a 2-day virtual meeting as well. Been serving on the state A&R leadership development team for leadership across the state. We have several agents that comprise this team, and we have developed train-the-trainer sessions for how to conduct an effective meeting, parliamentary procedure, and conflict resolution. So last month, we taught 3 statewide sessions on conflict resolution modes. We had over 170 participants from across the state, with 53 of those being here in Middle Tennessee. We have worked quite a bit to prepare and evaluate those meetings and get the curriculum out to those agents who participated in those programs. I also was asked to serve a few months ago on a statewide agriculture and natural resources program survey review committee. We are summarizing data and making recommendations to advance our agricultural and natural resources programs. We're finishing up that committee work in the next couple of weeks. So we've been working for a couple months on that to help strengthen and refocus, strategize our statewide agriculture and natural resource programs. From a programmatic standpoint in the county, I have had a few producers go through the Master Beef class in the fall and a couple more this spring. Had several that went through the Master Farm Manager program, which is a new program that was introduced in the fall. Those were all held virtually. We've also had some county participants in the Master Horse program. And I have also been a guest speaker to teach at other counties' Master Beef classes. Some did have them in person. So I went to Smith County, taught a session on beef harvesting, carcass quality, meat cut ID, those type issues with the Master Beef class there in Carthage. Participated in person in some virtual board meetings with the Farm Service Agency. Our Farm Service Agency is located in Springfield. That's in Davidson, Robertson County. So they're continuing to meet on a monthly basis. Sometimes we'll meet in person. Sometimes it's a phone call in. And up until recently, I met with the State Fair Association board. Still, we've not had a meeting in a few weeks as the State Fair Commission decides the fate of the State Fair moving forward and where the location for that will be. And it doesn't look like it will be in Nashville. So as a result of that, I assume our office will have less of a role in participating in helping put that on. And now that the weather is warming up, do get quite a few requests for site visits. I let David and Dan handle the garden and the horticulture and the tree questions and the bug and insect questions. But I typically work with new landowners, beginning farmers, those type individuals who've bought 5 to 10 acres and typically have never farmed before in their life and they want to farm now. So I'll go visit with those folks and go over several things, including budgets and what their capabilities are and what their experience level is, and give them some additional resources to help them make that decision if they do want to start some sort of farming enterprise. And then I just visit with any other livestock, large animals, horses. Been on some horse visits recently. A lot of pasture calls are coming up, pasture weed management. And as I mentioned at lunch today with our meeting, we do have quite a bit of processing, agricultural processing that goes on in Davidson County. A couple months ago, I went out to Antioch to a company that is processing rice, and it's food grade rice. So they're packaging up for human food. They also now are expanding to split yellow peas, and they are crushing them to a powder and extracting the protein. And that's basically the protein you see in a lot of these plant-based protein products, in drinks and in food products, where they're, plant-based protein. So they're using yellow peas, and they have an issue with their waste and how to handle it. And they were asking about composting and livestock feed questions. And so I was able to connect them with a livestock producer because their waste product can be used as a livestock feed, high value feed. And so that's a win-win situation, help out that company as well as the producer. And again, the site visits are coming in, so that's what's really going to keep us busy this spring. That's what I got, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Michael. Just a quick question I hadn't thought of before. Do you know how much money you're saving the rice and pea producing company by connecting them with that farmer, or how much money the farmer is being saved?
I do not yet. They actually have just started the split pea, so they're sort of in their test mode where and the reason they contact this, their first load they got in, they let part of it spoil, so they couldn't use it. They had, basically almost a rail car full of peas that they had to get rid of. So they don't know how much they will have on a weekly basis. They do know how much rice they have. So we'll be able to put a value to that, because just as a product of the processing, just some spillage and stuff that falls through screens becomes their waste. It's really not anything wrong with it. It just doesn't fit the package because it hit the floor. And so it's quite fine for livestock feed. So there will be a savings from them for lack of having to go to a landfill or some alternative, as well as the value of the feed. So we'll definitely be getting that information.
And Michael, I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
I have had so many consumers reach out and ask about buying raw dog food. Is there going to be any sort of processing for raw dog food or animal food in the Nashville area, because there is a consumer demand for it?
I am not aware if we have anywhere that's doing that. Now you're talking about like the freshly packaged, almost refrigerated type dog food. Is there
Yes,
someone
sir.
producing that? Yeah, I'm not aware of anyone. We do have some that are doing the traditional type dog food. The cooked food basically that's bagged. But I'm not aware.
Well, any of your larger producers that have an interest in that for, secondary or OFAL or anything like that, there is a very large, and the consumers don't mind spending the money for their pets right now. So it could be a secondary market that they might not have thought about. So
I'll make a note of that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, I would have never thought about that, Sylvia. Thank you for bringing that up. And thank you, Michael, for that report. I really appreciate your hard work. All right, last but not least, we've got you, David.
Okay, I'm just amazed how clear Michael's coming in from the Grand Canyon. He just comes in like he's next door to me. Okay, Michael is staying really busy. We could always use another agent, but I'm so glad Michael's on board here. I just finished up my Davidson County 2021 Master Gardener class, and I had actually 99 people in that class. I know a lot of county agents have postponed or decided to wait till face-to-face, or I've talked to several county agents that in some areas where I'm amazed they didn't get enough response on that. But as everybody's staying home and gardening, I don't know how that ever came out when you have to cancel the program. But the classes went great. Again, they were Zoom, and I was a little hesitant about Zoom. I've only done a few, but Elizabeth guided me through it quite well. And we had a lot of fun with that class. And I think Zoom, even though when we get back to face-to-face, Zoom is going to be part of Extension. It's just another opportunity, a format to get good programs out, because sometimes you have a winter program and bad weather. You don't want anybody to get stranded or hurt in their car during snow or ice storms, which we frequently have. And that's when we have our Master Gardener program during the downtime winter periods, months, January, February, March. And so we didn't have to skip a beat with the Zoom classes. They were all very complimentary, especially when the last class was about reporting their volunteer hours and where they get their projects. And they always reply, "What are we going to do on Thursday nights and Tuesday nights now?" I said, "Go out and garden." So it's a very rewarding class. I've just been very impressed and with the number of people that have rediscovered the outdoors, even though it's been there all this time, even before COVID. So that went very well. I'm still halfway through my new farmer program, which I do for Cultivate Garden. And they braved the storm too at Ellington. 7 Mile Creek came in and flooded like a terrible river. Unfortunately, there were 3 people that not connected with that farm in that neighborhood that lost their lives in the flood. So it was terrible. And it was just a creek you could step across during normal times. When I was coming last Monday to do my program at the farm, they had temporarily shut down Edmondson Pike because they had a crane pulling one of the cars out of the creek. And it was all caved in from just the water, force of the water. The roof had caved in and the windows all were blown out. Just tells you to be careful, you know, when you see water like that. Unfortunately, a lot of those homes experienced a lot of flood damage too. I don't think a lot of people know they're in a flood zone. But the last week, people at Cultivate Farm have been just picking up a truckload of debris and trash that gets floated down into their farm. So the classes are going very well. And we're going to do something brand new on a large scale. They actually have a pretty large scale farm down there. We're going to be planning soon in the next couple of weeks, strips called Insectary Strips. And these are to attract thousands of beneficial insects, which they've had an issue with Colorado potato beetle and other insects. So to reduce any kind of amount of spraying, even organic pesticides, insecticides, we're going to be planting massive strips of wildflowers that will attract beneficial insects. And this is going to be done on a large scale. And what we hope to do is then later on, when everything is in bloom good and we're getting a tally on what we see out there with beneficial insects, we want to host a farm workshop there, invite most of the local farms that are unfamiliar with this method of attracting beneficials in to see it firsthand. And we will do some what we call recapture, use some sweep nets and identify all the beneficials. So that'll be a new program that we have never been part of. So it's you never know what your program will spin off on and do something else. So I'm very proud of the Cultivate, just mainly what they do. We had in January, we didn't have to postpone our Middle Tennessee Landscape Management short course. Of course, we could not meet face to face because that was right at the peak of COVID. So that was converted to a Zoom format also, very well attended, well over 100 commercial participants. And we had each day, a 2-day event. We had 3 keynote speakers on the first and second day. And also we had 3 breakout sessions each day too. So it went very well. All the commercial people got their required pesticide points. I think they got up to 5 a day. So it's a big event for them. Zoom meetings are great because they don't really cost you anything. We didn't have to feed anybody. Couldn't figure out a way to have like virtual donuts, but they really miss their snack food they get. Again, like Michael said, site visits are coming in, a lot of requests for that. And reiterate what Michael said, there's so many people moving into the Middle Tennessee area and Davis County area that want to start a farming business, you know, and sometimes you almost want to discourage these people because, you know, they don't have a background. They've got money to buy land, but they have no idea what it takes to run a farm. And they want a little bit of this and a little bit of that on there. They want crops, they want livestock. So I said, golly, you're never going to take a vacation again. You're never going to buy a new truck, you know. So it's we can see trends, and I don't know if they're trends or just short trends or long-term trends, but again, people have rediscovered the outdoors, and some have a passion for it. So we may see some new farms pop up. So again, I think 2021 is going to be a very interesting year as what literally plays out. That's it.
That's great, David. Thanks so much. And I think that is going to be a really interesting trend, especially for us to see being in an urban county. I hope that you, Michael, and Dan really keep us up to date on how we can support those new farmers with resources and education, even from the non-ag side of things. If, Sylvia, if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and give the agents an opportunity to share if they have any new programs that are coming up in the next couple of weeks or months.
Sure.
And just you guys can just hop in at any point. Do you have any new programs or anything that you'd like to that you might want to put on the Ag Board's radar to either talk about or things that you may want to send their way to share on social media?
Well, I'll tell you one thing real quick. We are going to update and redesign the demonstration garden at behind the Central Region Office, Soul Lab building. And we're going to rename the garden as a demonstration and educational garden. It's not really used for research. It's mainly for consumers, homeowners. And so we're going to create some new type of very interesting raised beds that people can take the idea home, because that's what a demonstration garden is supposed to do. If people can't replicate what you are demonstrating, it's just another look-see and then go home. So we're going to create some very interesting raised beds, unique ones, for small spaces now. And we're going to create a very unique, very new, not a raised bed, but it's going to be a container vegetable garden. And we've got some new ideas on this. So I might ask Mark to give me some input on that. But there's a lot of the garden stores are really in on this. There's some new pots to grow potatoes in, and they're pretty big. And so it's an easy way if you want to till your backyard up, but you still want to have a nice garden. It is not a raised bed. It is a container. So there's various ideas we're going to come up. And again, for a demonstration garden, people should be able to take these ideas, take a picture of it and say, this is what I want to bring home. So then we're going to create 2 new habitats, and they're not going to be called gardens. One is going to be on beneficial insects. It'll be a walkthrough habitat. And that'll get planted probably in the next, right around the 1st of May. And then we're going to have a new habitat for native pollinating bees. And it'll be a sitting area too. People can observe, and we're going to have we're going to have a lot of labels, the type of insects you might see. So instead of like what Andy does for bird watching, this will be kind of insect watching. So it'll be something new, but it'll be educational. We're going to have outdoor programs. And I've already talked with Cheekwood, their staff, and they want us to kind of do a trainer program for their staff with regards to entomology and with reference to beneficial insects and native pollinating bees. Yeah, Mark.
Where will this be, David?
It's going to be, it's not going to be in the demonstration garden behind the building. It's going to be just a little bit, it's going to be outside that garden. So in an area where people we're going to have pathways walking through it, where you can we want opportunities for people to take great photos of these insects. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be, they're going to be habitats, we call them. They're going to be pretty good size. But it'll be an eyepiece to watch. I mean, it'll be beautiful with the plants that we're going to put in. They're going to be specific plants for the Southeast that will attract beneficial insects, and then they're also going to be attracting butterflies galore. So it's
in the location. Where's the?
That's the Central Region Office where the Soul Lab is.
Oh, okay.
Behind that building is our demonstration. We used to call it Demonstration Research Garden, but we're changing the name to Demonstration and Educational Garden.
In Ellington, then.
Yep. And we want to have outdoor. We want to promote more outdoor programs. Maybe some 2-hour Saturday programs, so short topics. We're going to do some walkabouts with trees and different things out there. So we're going to provide more outdoor. 1 day, couple-hour workshops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great, David.
Great. Elizabeth,
Yes, ma'am.
sounds like you have a very busy group of folks over there. Are you ready to move forward into the board discussion about the budget, and then we can get everybody back to work?
That sounds great. Yes, ma'am, we are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so for the next thing, give me just one moment. Get my screen pulled up here. And Dustin, feel free to hop in as you see fit. So we did have our official budget meeting a few weeks ago. I know I had an opportunity to discuss some of it with Sylvia about the requests that we put in. We're requesting additional funds for our pensions and other systems. Essentially, we with those funds or the fees additionally going up every year, just asking for some additional funds that'll cover that for this year, but also in years to come, so we're not constantly going into the red on that front. We've also requested for some additional travel money for Dan. It's not uncommon, especially this year has not been the norm, but on a normal, very busy year with him making lots more visits to school and community gardens with schools, it's been really hard for him to get into those right now, naturally because of COVID. So it has not so much been a problem with his travel, but normally he would go over. So we're asking for some additional funds to keep that from happening, from being supplemented by UT funds. We've also asked for some additional monies to go towards a hotspot. If you all have ever been in our office, you know that we don't have Wi-Fi, which is kind of crazy. And you know, what a year not to have Wi-Fi, right? In a year where we've really demanded the internet to continue to do our jobs and for people to reach us and for us to reach them. And so it's become very apparent that that is something that we need. We've requested just simply $500 just to cover a hotspot that'll have for 10 connections. And not only is that good for us who are wanting to collaborate together here in the office, but also for 4-Hers who want to come in and get some additional face-to-face help with their record books, or FCE or master gardeners wanting to work together. It's just going to be a really great addition to our office. We're also asking for some additional funds to reverse a budget cut that happened several years ago, really just to give us a little bit more wiggle room. One of the things that we're seeing, for example, I know that they asked for if we had to do a 2% reduction scenario. We really just didn't have the money to give for that, and so hopefully to put in some buffers there, but also just to allow for us to have some additional funding, so that we can continue to do the great work that we're already doing. I know one of the special requests that we did ask for is for an addition for a industrial fridge and freezer, and that way Sandra, Charles, Lynn, Bianca, Ebony, and all of them, they have more space to put their food, because on a normal day when we're all here and if we all put our lunch in the refrigerator, there is no room for the food items that they pick up from the grocery stores unless they take it straight to their house. Another thing that is outside of the budget, the Metro budget, but something that's good news, TSU has approached me and asked if we would like to invite one additional 10-step aid or SNAP-Ed agent and 2 program assistants to come to our office. I know the 2 program assistants are already working at TSU, and they have started the search, and they have 6 candidates that have applied for the agent position. So we'll be doing interviews for that soon. I'm really excited to add those additional personnel to our staff. I think that this is a much better suited place for them, instead of being at TSU, but being with other agents where they can collaborate on partners and methods and resources together, and really help provide a better educational experience to various groups around the county. But that's the main update for the budget. We haven't heard if everything's been approved or not. It's still an ongoing process for the next few months, but I'll keep you all in the loop. Do we have any questions? Dustin, was there anything that I forgot or that I need to add?
So the mayor's recommended budgets will be publicized or released on May 1st, and then council has to approve either the mayor's recommended budget or their own budget by June 30th. This year, they are looking at maybe tracking the 4% request with the budget. So that way, you know whether or not you'll get the freezers at the same time as your budget is passed.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dustin. And Sylvia, that's all I had for us for the time being.
All right. Well, that sounds great, Elizabeth. Perhaps for our next meeting, if there is a way to look at last year's budget compared to what was requested, and then maybe what actually got funded, just as a comparative analysis for everyone to look at. Our hopes are going to be that we get everything that is so well deserved and overdue and needed. But we all know it's trying times, so we'll hope for all the best there. Sherry or Gigi or anyone else, do you have any questions? Mark?
No, I'm fine.
All right, if there are no further questions and no other input from the Ag Extension employees as well, I'd like to make a motion to close our meeting.
I second.
Fantastic. All in favor? Aye.
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 Fantastic. Thank you all for being here today. And this will conclude our meeting. Have a great day.
Well,
Yeah,
well
you
done
did.
job, everyone. You guys are doing a heck of a job.
Very impressive.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Sylvia, can
Thank you.
we borrow you for just a couple of seconds?
Sure.
Andy and Lindsay, would you mind staying on? I think Lindsay may have hopped off, but I know she's in the next room. You'll give me just 1 second. I'll go knock on the door and see if she can hop in here for just a second. Andy, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, no, I can't. Oh, do you want me to just go hop back on this on my computer? Let's get my microphones right. I'm sorry about that. Okay. All right, so Sylvia, I'll let Andy share some of the details, but I know I mentioned to you briefly that with camp being on the road, we're trying to figure out where we can host camp. One of the struggles right now is that the Central Region office is still in phase, I think, 2, like we are offices, and we're not allowed to have big groups out there right now. If we were to have it at that facility, we wouldn't have, oh, hold on a second, let me